Hi, do you want to introduce yourself? Give your name, your handle, and your pronouns, and a little bit about you?
Sure. My name is Jessie. Hello, everyone. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. My handle, you can find me on YouTube or on Instagram as Bowties and Books. And things about me, I love to read. Surprise, surprise. I'm also a really big horror nerd. I love horror movies, horror stories. I love analyses of horror. And a weird fact about me is I can walk on my toes, and I do that when I'm really nervous.
What? How did I not know this? That is
Oh, I keep it a secret. Like,
not so secret anymore, my friend.
I know, right? Yeah, I don't advertise that, but I've definitely had friends call me out for it and be like, "Yo, what are you doing? Like, what's happening?"
That is amazing. What a
So
wonderful,
weird.
weird fact. I feel like I never have those ready to go, and you were just like, here it is. I've got it.
Well, here's the thing. I have so much material to choose from because I am super weird. So I was like, okay, let's just pick something out of a hat. Like,
I love it so much. Okay, so quick re-intro for me, for people who are coming in. I'm Megan. I'm a social media associate at Random House. You can also find me on Bookstagram at Books and Blazers. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm talking here with Jessie of Bowties and Books about all things Bookstagram and gay stuff and pride and all that fun stuff. So do you want to tell me a little bit about how you got into the Bookstagram world? Like what made you start your own Bookstagram and how that all began for you?
sure. I actually had no idea. So it was a lot of hubris on my part, but I had no idea when I joined Instagram that there was a Bookstagram community. I had no idea. And had I known, I probably would have been too intimidated to just lackadaisically show up here. But the reason that I started this Instagram is because I wanted it to be an extension of my YouTube channel, and I wanted it to be a way for me to interact with my subs and the people that I'm subscribed to in between our videos. No idea about it being a whole community. And it's ironic because Bookstagram is actually incredibly isolated from BookTube. They are such separate beasts. Um, like, it's so funny because you can take a book that has been deeply, deeply hyped on Instagram. Like, you can't open your feed without seeing this book. And then you go to BookTube and nobody's heard of it. It's just the separation is so fascinating.
That's so interesting. I didn't realize that
Yeah.
there was such a gap. I mean, I got into like watching booktube videos because of you and your channel. And I had no idea that it was like such a huge separation because I feel like Bookstagram
Mm.
is so insular. Like we all talk about similar books and we're all sort of reading at the same time, like a big book club. So it's
Mhm.
interesting that Booktube is like so specifically, on the other side of that. Yeah, you want to tell us a little bit about your Booktube channel and how it's a little bit different from your Bookstagram?
Sure. I started my booktube in, I believe, August of 2018. So we're right around the corner from that anniversary.
Yay, so
Um,
close.
I'm so excited. My booktube just hit 20K a couple days ago. So that's also something
Congrats.
I know I could not believe it. It was absolutely it just insane. But as far as the actual channel goes, I literally just wanted a place for me to dress up and talk about books. And again, with my hubris, I didn't truly realize when I joined booktube that it was a whole community. So, and it was funny because like I did know about booktube channels, but I just didn't realize the vastness of that little corner of the internet. And again, I think I would have been too intimidated to join had I realized. I literally just wanted a place where I could track my journey getting back into books because academia and college had sufficiently suffocated my love for reading for fun. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to reinvigorate my passion by starting a YouTube channel. And I have Like, I'm an accountability person. If I'm doing something publicly, then I will continue doing it. And so that was why I started a YouTube channel instead of just doing like a little journal or something like that, because I knew if I was uploading videos, it would keep me accountable. And then when I started uploading videos, I was like, oh, oh, it's a whole community already. So basically that's the biggest difference I think from my booktube and my bookstagram is that I do a lot of like micro discussions about books that I can't necessarily do on Bookstagram. So there's it's just more in depth of my thoughts of books. And I think I'm also just a little bit more open on my booktube, because my like booktube is always going to be my first and my foremost home. Even though I love Bookstagram, but booktube is like where my heart is. So I'm a little bit more open on that platform.
Right. And you have a little bit more flexibility to be open, right? You're not like constrained by the Instagram caption, limit. You can just sort of talk forever. I mean, I love watching your videos and going on, and it's just like a little peek into your brain, I feel like, that we don't get on Bookstagram. So I like that there's both sides that I get to experience you, because this is all about me. I'm not sure if you knew that.
The Megan Show.
The Megan Show. But yeah, that is so wonderful. I love that you have both of those platforms that serve different purposes for you. That's awesome. I know I've definitely found a sense of community on the Bookstagram, like the little corner of the internet that is Bookstagram. And especially during Pride, I mean, it's so upsetting but necessary that Pride has been canceled IRL, this year.
Yes.
But I know you and I sort of talked about how wherever we are, we can make our own Pride, and no matter where we are and whether we're separate or we're, all together in one massive crowd, we can still have, Pride, capital P Pride and lowercase p Pride.
Oh, of course.
So I want to know a little bit about like what you've been doing to celebrate Pride on Bookstagram, because I know you and I both have a lot of things going on Pride-wise in the Bookstagram community. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I've been so inspired by the things that you're doing on your platform for Pride. It's been so inspiring for me personally, honestly.
Oh my God.
The visibility. Like, that's the thing that I love about Bookstagram in intersectionality with queer folks. The visibility of queer folks on this platform is insane, and it's amazing. I love it. But as far as what I've been doing on Bookstagram, I myself, Mayana Reeds, Lauren of the novel Lush, and Francina of Francina Simone launched Queer Blackathon, which we've been doing Blackathon since 2018, but we, in honor of the loss of trans man Tony McDade, we decided to launch Queer Blackathon. And it was just this 48-hour initiative to read Black queer books and to center those voices. And that is basically what I've been doing on my platform for Pride. And it's been so needed. You don't even realize sometimes as a Black person how desperately you need to celebrate yourself, and also to feel celebrated and to celebrate with other Black queers. You don't truly understand the overwhelming wave of heterosexuality that you have to swim through your entire life until you're confronted with the freedom of getting to celebrate queerness with other Black folks and your allies. So it just was I didn't realize how much I needed Queer Blackathon until it was happening, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was fantastic. So that's primarily what I've been doing. And I also, before we launched Queer Blackathon, my whole TBR this month has been centering Black queer books already and LGBTQ books already. And it's been great, because since obviously we can't go out and celebrate, obviously Pride is canceled, like you said, but we can get our Pride through our books, which is my preferred. Like, who wouldn't rather stay home and read instead of go to a club anyway? I mean, okay, I know a lot of people, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, I think that's a really good point, and like you were saying, it's important to have the representation that you don't necessarily get, the rest of the year. This is a perfect time to sort of make it happen all at once and completely immerse yourself in that. And I know personally, I've ended up having some really great conversations that center queerness and also center, you know, intersectionality within our queerness this year that I feel like we've sort of been missing in previous years on Bookstagram. You know, it's more than just a rainbow stack of books on your, you know, feed. So I think that there's been some really awesome conversations being had this year, particularly, and, you know, in light of everything that's been going on that have helped, you know, all of us in the LGBTQ community sort of think a little bit more widely and a little bit more inclusively. And that's been really inspiring for me to see, definitely. I know that we are both also working to raise money for Lambda and for some various other queer organizations this year for hashtag Books to Pride. So we have information, we both have information about that on our channels, which has also, you know, been affected by COVID. Lambda wasn't able to do their Lammies this year, and so we were. You okay?
Sorry, my allergies are acting up today.
No worries.
Keep talking.
So yeah, I feel like we've had a pretty unique experience this year where we were able to sort of come together and make something really fun and really productive happen with just a bunch of really cool gay people that we probably wouldn't have been working this closely with in other years. So, you know, like I said, even though we can't all go out and be together massively in the streets potentially like we would have previously for Pride, we're making it our own on Bookstagram, which is just, it makes me so happy.
Yes, absolutely.
And you also co-host a special kind of book club on Bookstagram that I want you to talk about. Very specific kind of books to read that I feel like we don't get to hear a lot about in the wider book world and also on Bookstagram. So why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I started NB Book Club last summer. It stands for Non-Binary Book Club, and in this book club, we read books that are written by non-binary spectrum individuals that center non-binary protagonists, and sometimes our protagonists aren't non-binary, but as long as the author is, that book is eligible to be a book club pick. And actually, NB Book Club just hit 3,000 followers, which is super exciting.
That's
I know.
awesome.
I was really excited.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I was super excited about it. And it's honestly more than just a book club, which I love. That's what I love about it. I put highlights full of resources on it. I post non-binary centric news and transgender centric news and updates so that people can have a safe place to consume news surrounding transness. And also there are highlights, like I've got a shop non-binary highlight. So if you want to support non-binary artists and merchandisers, merchants, what's the word?
Creators? Merch
Creators?
We got there. It's fun.
I read books. You know, you can go through this highlight and shop those creators. And it's just got a bunch of resources. And it's important, I think, to have that central space, the one space that we have on Bookstagram where non-binary people are the focus. That is something about Bookstagram that continues to frustrate me, is the erasure of non-binary authors and their works. You know, there were two like Akwaeke Emezi, you know, last year had to accept an award under like a woman's category, and Akwaeke has been very vocal about not being a woman. And so I know, like, it must have been so frustrating and even humiliating for them to have to choose between their gender identity and getting their work recognized, because these gendered book awards don't make space for people that live outside of the gender binary. So I was like, yes, NB Book Club, I think, is the most important thing that I do, in my opinion, because it centers the voices that are continuously run over every single day, even as we celebrate and center Pride.
Yeah, it's such a good point. I love that you've created this little corner, this space, you know, to have these conversations and to uplift these voices. You have 2 books that you are reading for this month's book club picks for NB Book Club, right? You want to talk a little bit about those?
Yes. The first book is probably my favorite book of 2020, and that is All Boys Aren't Blue by Georgia Johnson.
I'm gonna cry just looking at it.
I know, it's so perfect. I literally read this in January. It was my very first book of 2020. And I went, oh, okay, so I just ruined myself for the rest of the reading year because there's no way any book is going to top this one. It just, it felt as if George was speaking to me directly. And so I knew that this had to be a NB Book Club pick, simply because George just writes so clearly about gender and gender nonconformity. And that's just one of the few reasons why this book is so special. So this is one of our picks. And the other one that I haven't started yet, but I'm so excited about, is The Future of Another Timeline. And this one is by Anna Lee Newitz, who is a non-binary author. And this book is basically about time traveling lesbians and non-binary people who are trying to smash the patriarchy. It's sci-fi, it's got time travel. What more could one want?
I'm so excited to read that one. My copy just came in the mail and I'm ready for it with you.
Yay!
Yeah, that was one of the descriptions I think that you dropped, was like time travel and lesbian and non-binary people smashing the patriarchy. And I was like, yes, please, I will take that. Thank you.
That
I'm very excited. Yes, very excited for that one.
Are you going to try to join our discussion on the 7th of July for it?
Cool. Yes, definitely. Cool. It is on my list of things I need to like smush into these last few days of June.
I know, right? I know.
But speaking of reading things for June, do you have some Pride recommendations, some reading recommendations outside of your NB Book Club picks that you want to share?
Ooh, Pride recommendation. Yes. Okay. All right.
We sift through the stacks that are sitting next to you.
Let me consult over here with my stack. The first two that come to mind, this book is my heart and soul. Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez. I was not ready, okay? I was not prepared. My whole wig was snatched. My roots were taken from my scalp, okay?
I'm gonna put that as like a blurb for the back of the paperback, just that quote.
That's what the book is about. That's it. That's all the. Oh my gosh, it's so freaking good. So this is an adult science fiction novel, and it's also a debut novel. Debuts are killing it this year. From a Latinx author, and it's essentially about this very weird boy that literally crash lands onto a planet, and everybody's like, where did this child come from? What do we do with him? And it turns out that this child has very special and unique abilities. And so there's, we introduce one of our protagonists, Captain Nia, who is this absolutely gorgeous, tall, just strong, super dark skinned, super driven Black woman who's like, okay, you know what? If you pay me enough, I will take responsibility for this boy and transport him to the corporation that wants to buy him. And of course, during this journey, Captain Nia has a change of heart. And literally every character in this book, I think, except for Captain Nia, is queer. Like, the boy is queer. There's a central female storyline as well. There's 3 protagonists total. And it's just, on top of that, the writing itself is phenomenal. And I just definitely think we need more queer fiction from men, especially talking about relationships between other men. So this was great. And also, if you're not super into sci-fi, like if you're intimidated by science fiction, this is a great pick for you, because it's not heavy sci-fi. It's not high science fiction. It's very accessible. And then the second one is The Antidote for Everything by Kimmery Martin, which I have been singing this book's praises like a canary. Okay, this book is so fantastic. It's essentially about 2 doctors. One is a cisgender heterosexual white woman, and her best friend is a gay cisgender Asian man. And her best friend is known for treating transgender patients with a lot of care and compassion. And their conservative clinic decides that they don't want to allow trans people to receive care. And so Jonah, the male, decides that he's going to continue treating these patients regardless. And so the hospital basically frames him and says that he's stealing drugs and fires him. And the book is about the fallout of that decision and about Jonah and Georgia, his friend, and how they deal with the repercussions of that. This book is phenomenal, and it's written by a medical doctor who wanted to bring to light issues within her field. So I absolutely loved that. And it not only talks about issues that trans folks face when trying to acquire care, but it also talks in depth about things like sexual harassment and sexism and racism. It's such a deeply intersectional and very brilliantly told novel. And the other thing that I really love about it is it's got a lot of comedy in it, but the comedy doesn't undercut the important messages of the story. So it was told masterfully. And I love that a doctor is the one telling the story. Yeah, and I think a lot of people were very excited, reasonably so, and happy when it was ruled that stripping trans people of medical protection isn't constitutional, right? People were really excited about that. However, that already happens in America. Private clinics are legally allowed to discriminate against trans people every single day in this country, and trans people die as a result. So it's incorrect to say that trans people are protected from medical discrimination, because they're not. And if you want more information on that, this is definitely the book to read, because it breaks it down very brilliantly.
This is why my entire bookshelf is just your recommendations. I love listening to you talk about books.
I can't wait for you to read this book in particular. You're going to be so mad though.
I know. That was one of the ones that I started, and I was like ready to like live text you all of my thoughts, and then I got completely distracted and I need to go back to it. So it's definitely on my list. Okay, I have two quick recs, and then we'll see if we can take some questions very quickly. Cool. So this is potentially one of my favorite books of the year, Here for It by R. Eric Thomas, who is a Random House author and just a lovely, lovely human. Amazing essays about being queer and Black and Christian. Laugh out loud funny. Like, I was reading this, I tell the story all the time, but I was literally reading this in a bar, like one of my favorite reading spots before COVID. And the lady next to me kept giving me weird looks because I was laughing out loud. Like, I was snorting, I was like laughing out loud as I was reading it. It was super embarrassing. So definitely worth it. And then for Queer Blackathon this past weekend, I read this absolutely stunning book from Riverhead, Real Life by Brandon Taylor.
Nice.
I'm like still not over it. I'm still not haven't wrapped my head around it yet. It's just one of those gorgeous books that I feel like Bookstagram is obsessed with and has been hyping up for a long time. And this is definitely worth the hype, 100%. Yeah. Absolutely stunning writing, just gorgeous. So those are my two quick recs. I think we have some questions if we want to maybe answer some.
Can I interject something super quick?
Oh my God, yes, absolutely.
A really good example of the separation between BookTube and Bookstagram.
Yeah.
Here for It and Real Life are not being talked about on BookTube at all.
What?
At all. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, they are so, yeah. Actually, none of these books, aside from All Boys Aren't Blue, has been mentioned on BookTube.
That is wild. I wonder why. That's like fascinating. I want to do a study and see
why that is. Weird. It's super weird. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
I'm fascinated by that though. Like I want to do a deep dive now. You've got my brain turning. Okay. Here is one from Casey the Reader. What upcoming releases are you excited about?
Stop. Oh my gosh.
That is such a good question.
Oh, I wish I was more prepped for this question, because I literally have a Google Docs that goes through like who's publishing the book, is it a debut book, what genre, what day, like it's insane.
I love that. Oh my God. I love that so much.
I literally stalk book releases.
I'm here for it. It's great.
Yes. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I almost forgot. The conclusion to the Poppy War trilogy, that comes out in November or September. That end all be all anticipated read.
Yeah, that was one of your like big faves this year too, right?
it destroyed my life. Okay.
Which is a compliment on Bookstagram.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. So good. Like I am literally, my body temperature has risen 3 degrees. Like I physically cannot talk about this book without having a somatic reaction. That's how deeply I loved it.
I love that so much. Oh my god. Okay, so like watch out when that book comes out. Jesse's just gonna explode. Here is another one. Hold on.
Yeah, you're
Is
not
it
gonna see it for
overwhelming?
like a while.
Is it overwhelming to have both a Bookstagram and a booktube? Seems like a full-time job. That is a great question. Explain your magic, please.
I mean, the honest answer is yes. Like, yeah, it's super overwhelming, but not in a bad way. It's okay. Do you know what eustress is? Have you heard this term, eustress?
I don't think so.
So there's 2 types of stress in psychology. There's de-stress, which is the type of stress we're familiar with, what we're currently living in right now in 2020. And then there's eustress, which is known as positive stress, right? Like you're stressing out about things that you enjoy. It's not like debilitating stress. And so, yeah, it definitely is incredibly stressful. Like I literally spent all of yesterday editing one video, and then I have to spend another like 30 minutes captioning it before I can upload it. Like, and that's just from one video. But the thing is, like, this is what I love, and it's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And if I had to choose a stressor, this is what I would pick.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love that. That is like such a great answer. I love that. Okay,
good.
let's see what else we have here. Do you have any recommendations for LGBTQIA+ books for children?
I do. Okay, so I think yes, I do. So where are you? I thought she was sitting right here. Okay. Dang. Okay. I thought my copy was literally right there, but it's not. But Hurricane Child by Kaysen. Yeah, by Kaysen Hollander. It's great. Dang. I know, right? Like, I swear it was right here.
I know. I think I used to have it like sitting literally right here, and I moved it out to the other room. We're definitely prepared for this.
We're canceled. But essentially, it's a not only is it by a non-binary and transgender author, but it's also by a Caribbean author, and it centers queer Caribbean girls. And I love that it decenters the United States. And it's got a magical, realistic element to it as well. So that would definitely be my pick. I'm trying to think. I know that there would be more, but that's... I think also I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver would be good for children. Yeah, because it's very readable. It is a young adult novel, but it's... I think that you could read that like at age 10, you know, maybe even age 8 if your child is super, super advanced in reading. But it's highly readable, and it's all about a non-binary kid who gets kicked out of their house when they come out as non-binary, and then they go to a new school and they fall in love and find themselves, and it's a very beautiful story.
It is, yeah. I was just talking to someone about that the other day. I second both of those recommendations. A+, I love those both. I was just talking to someone else the other day about I Wish You All the Best, and they mentioned that it would be a really good book for a parent of a questioning child or a non-binary child to read as well, because I think the family dynamics are really interesting, and it's not a happy family story, but it's a nuanced one, I think, and not necessarily a what not to do, although there are definitely elements of maybe what not to do as a parent. But it's very complex, and it's treated with so much respect, and it's not just a flat out, you know, the parents are villains and we never talk to them again sort of story, which I thought was a really important narrative as well. So yes, I think that's one that people could potentially have their child read and also read themselves to learn something too. So, okay, I'm going to sneak in one more question and then we will end this one. Okay. Uh-oh, did I lose you? You back?
No,
okay.
I see it.
What is an underhyped book? Okay, underhyped book in your opinion of 2019?
There's so many. Shoot. Okay. Oh gosh, and I mean, I know I'm gonna get off this live and be furious with myself because I know there's like a book that there was a book I was like begging everybody to read last year. What was it?
You're on the spot, so you can't remember.
Dang it. Okay, I can do this. I'm a smart, capable individual. What was this book? I don't know. I don't remember.
Oh, I stumped you with one. Damn it, sorry.
I know.
God, that's like such a good question too. I don't know.
Oh, I know I'm going to be
thinking.
absolutely furious. I'm trying to go through my like underhyped books in my head right now, and I'm of course they've all just flown out of my brain.
Well, everyone who's watching this will have to go follow Jessie on their Bookstagram and their BookTube to find out once this finally comes back into your head. You can make an announcement.
Give an underhyped book for this year.
Okay.
If that okay. That book is going to be Remembrance by Rita Woods.
Ooh.
Okay, this is an adult fantasy debut. And honestly, between this and The Vanished Birds, these are arguably like the two strongest debut novels I've ever read, fiction-wise. Like,
wow.
I was literally reading this book in utter and complete shock that this was a debut novel. Like, I was stalking the writer online. I was like, have you been publishing essays? Like, short story collections, you know, like what's going on, because the writing is deeply, deeply nuanced and beautiful. And this essentially is like, honestly, you could think of it as a reimagining of Kindred by Octavia Butler. So freaking good. It's essentially about this very powerful Haitian witch who is enslaved. And she's just like, you know what, enough is enough. And she decides to use her power to create a world that only Black people can enter. And so this takes place during antebellum slavery. And it's about these enslaved Black folks fighting to protect the world that they've created. But it also has altering timelines. We're following three characters, and one of them is in the present. And she's essentially like the descendant of the people who started this. It kind of reminds me of Slay in the sense of creating like this virtual world, except it's not virtual, but it's amazing. It's incredible.
I love this. I feel great about this.
It's so good. It's a phenomenal work. And I honestly haven't seen anybody else read this but me on Bookstagram or on BookTube. Breaks my heart because it's unspeakably good.
I am going to go order it as soon as we are done here, because
you're gonna love it.
I need all of your recommendations on my shelves. So okay, I think we are just about at time, but it has been so lovely to talk to you. Thank you so much for chatting with me. And follow Jessie at Bowties and Books and NB Book Club on BookTube, all that fun stuff. And this has been Inside the House with Random House. So thanks everyone for joining. I'll see you later, Jessie.
Bye.
Bye.